Welcome back, Fan-Fueled family. I've got a special video for you today because, like last week, it's a viewer request. On my weekly check-in post on December 28th, Quantum1357, a semi-regular commenter on the channel, requested I make a video on who and what I'd be in Star Wars. Ooh boy, do I have an answer for you. See, it's something I've thought on a lot over the years, so I've got a ton of stuff ready. My character in Star Wars is a lot like my character in other media, just sort of adapted for Star Wars. His name is Sarath, and in Star Wars he's an Ichani, a race of near-humans that have a cultural predilection for battle as a means of communication, art, and understanding. Sarath is a bit unusual for an Ichani. While he does have the usual white hair so incredibly common to the species, he dyes it jet black, which helps him camouflage himself so people don't know he's an Ichani and may underestimate him. He does not, however, have the typical sky blue eyes. He has vivid purple eyes, perhaps the only physical trait he inherited from his non-Ichani mother. As the Ichani say, Sarath honors the face of his father, meaning he looks a lot like his father. He has a small scar over his left eye. Sarath is Force sensitive, but he's neither Jedi nor Sith. He doesn't like their more spiritual approach to the Force, and instead Sarath sought out the Order of the Jal Shay, a Force order that studies the Force from an intellectual perspective rather than a religious one. As one of the Jal Shay's most accomplished members, Sarath is a Jal Shay mentor, basically the Jal Shay equivalent of a Jedi Master. He wears Jal Shay mentor armor, but has altered the colors a bit to be purple to complement his eyes rather than the ugly red and yellow. Jal Shay armor is designed to be both protective and unrestrictive. It does not limit the use of Force powers. On the subject of Force powers, Sarath has an array of them. He is very much of the mind of Kyle Katarn's quote.
Remember, abilities are not inherently good or evil. It's how you use them.
To that end, he uses both light side and dark side powers, but keeps them in balance, never letting himself become too piously preachy like the Jedi from his light side use, or too dark and edgy like the Sith from his dark side use. He does have his favorites. For example, Tuda Minas, which he is so skilled with that he can catch a lightsaber blade in his hand and drain it of power, then turn that power into Force lightning. He is very gifted with using the Force to amplify his physical prowess. Things like Force speed and Force body come naturally to him, but he has no skill at all with mind-affecting powers like mind tricks, illusions, or even beast trick. Where Sarath really shines, however, is with his lightsabers. Typically, he uses one single-bladed lightsaber, a standard hilt with a unique black core purple blade. When things get rough, however, he pulls out his other blade, a silver-bladed weapon. Sarath uses a hybrid of Form 2 Makashi and Form 7 Juyo, combining the precise strikes and parries of Makashi with the unconventional and overwhelming speed and tempered aggression of Juyo. Generally, he'll stick with Makashi when wielding one blade, as Makashi excels in that sort of dueling one-blade fencing style. He'll then shift to Juyo when he needs to overrun a foe quickly, such as threats to his order or to the life of the galaxy, or when facing more than 3 opponents at once. Sarath has a strong moral code. He'll happily put his life on the line to protect those that cannot protect themselves. He values not just having knowledge, but acquiring knowledge. He's not content to just sit in a library and peruse holocrons all day. He feels the call to go out, be in the galaxy, to experience the galaxy in its natural state, to learn from the universe. That's one thing he could never really get his head around, why the Sith feel this need for control.
Because you don't need to own the universe, just see it. To have the privilege of seeing the whole of time and space. That's ownership enough.
As far as weapons and tools go, Sarath uses his lightsabers of course, but also carries a Star 35 heavy blaster pistol modified with a higher power chamber. This necessitates much more frequent reloads, once every few hundred shots rather than effectively infinite, but Sarath values the stopping power. The ability to drop an enraged Reek at 20 meters with a single headshot rather than just spraying plasma everywhere and hoping for the best is reassuring. The blaster was a gift and is tied to his scar. Early in his time as a Jal Shay neophyte, he saved a Mandalorian child from one of the many vicious monsters that call Mandalore and Concordia home. He nearly lost his eye getting the boy out of the way, but for his selfless act of protecting the life of a Mandalorian youngling, Sarath was given the pistol.
This is the way.
This is the way. This is the way.
He usually carries a medkit with him. While he can use Force Heal on himself, he cannot use it on others like some Force users can, so he carries the medkit to help others in the field. He tends to have a fairly small amount of gear with him in the field. The medkit, some computer spikes for getting into computer systems, a few security spikes to slice electronic locks, usually electrobinoculars, and field rations. He also carries a grappling hook, less out of need and more out of a love of the idea of them. He can Force jump after all. He also always has his holocron with him to record his observations for the Order's archives. Sarath travels to whatever planets he's really feeling a pull towards. He's visited Manon and walked on the sea floor in a pressure suit to observe Firaxa in their natural habitat, gently force-pushing them away when they got too close. He even saw the progenitor up close, as she was rather passive with the Hrakert research base abandoned. He's gone to Felucia and studied the flora and fauna. He's made his way to Korriban to study the tombs of the old Sith Lords. He went to Rusan to see the Valley of the Jedi, a well of trapped Jedi and Sith souls and a Force nexus. He's traveled to Dantooine to visit the ruins that started Revan and Malak down the path of the dark side. He's gone to Ossus to behold the birthplace of the Jedi Order. This thirst for knowledge can sometimes get him into trouble. He's accidentally walked into a sleeping Terentatek's den, and rather than quietly slipping out when he realized the beast was there, like a rational person, he instead walked up and began examining the creature. Sarath's biggest goal is knowledge. He wants to study life, the Force, the galaxy itself. His secondary goal is the preservation of life and peace. He will fight for others without a moment's hesitation if he thinks he's doing the right thing. He'll fight pirates, Sith, monsters, anyone or anything that tries to hurt or oppress others, even risking his life to do so.
Boy, oh boy. The price of freedom is steep.
I imagine Sarath would likely have at least one person in the Jedi Order he deals with on a regular basis. Probably a Jedi Knight, maybe a Jedi Master. He'd also have regular contact with other Force orders, maybe things like the Barrando Sages, the Zaysen Shah, or the Order of Revan. In terms of his love life, the Jalshay do not enforce that same sort of no-attachment mentality that the Jedi do, or at least there's no evidence for it in the material we have on the Jalshay. I think Sarath would generally be single. He's more focused on study and discovery than romance, but when he does have someone close to him, he's very affectionate. If he did pursue romantic interests, his girlfriend or wife would have to share his thirst for knowledge and discovery. Maybe a fellow member of the Jalshay, maybe a researcher somewhere. We don't have an established saying for the Jalshay like we do for the Jedi and Sith. The Jedi say, "May the Force be with you," of course, and the Sith say, "May the Force serve you well." I sort of picture Sarath's saying being, "May the Force teach, and may you learn well." Yeah, I bet you weren't expecting a behind-the-scenes section for this video. So, I actually started conceiving Sarath as a concept back in the early 2000s. I was in middle school, maybe early high school, and there was a TV show I was obsessed with, Code Lyoko. I still enjoy it, honestly. Go watch it. Every single episode is up on YouTube in both English and French on the official YouTube channel for free. Just make sure you watch the two-part prequel Zana Awakens first, and bear in mind that each of the 4 seasons is better than the one before it. It's one of those shows that starts sort of middling and ends really high. Anyway, I was on a Code Lyoko forum and I started a role-playing thread where I acted as sort of the equivalent of a dungeon master in D&D. It was a Jedi Academy story set in Luke's Jedi Academy on Yavin 4. While I ran Luke and the other NPCs, of course, my character was Lord Sarath Darklance, who was the son of a noble. In the past, 20-odd years, I've sort of developed Sarath into his own thing that exists independently of Star Wars. He's an anthropomorphic fox deity now, and in his continuity, where there are many gods, he is a god of knowledge, compassion, and magic. I kinda wanted to go with Sarath as an Amaran for this video to make him more in line with his current iteration, but I ultimately decided to stick with the original Ichani design. The visuals I used of Sarath himself are from the character creator in the game Code Vein, but the lightsaber belongs to me. I made that myself with a bit of help from a friend years ago. The picture of modern Sarath, the one in the white robe, is drawn by a very talented artist that goes by the handle Ajna and was commissioned for me as a gift from a very dear friend. So that's everything I could think of. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I had a lot of fun making it. It's nice to talk about me and my own creations once in a while. Again, I want to thank Quantum1357 for requesting this video. This was a really fun one to make. If you want to support the channel, go ahead and click that subscribe button, hit the like button, and leave a comment. And if you have any topics you want to request, let me know. If you want to see me break down all the different lightsaber forms, they're old so they're kinda rough, the playlist is here. Or click here for the videos on Terentatek's or on Firaxa. Thank you again so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.